Are you looking forward to Christmas, or are you one of those men who secretly thinks, I can't wait for it to be over? In this episode of the Jonnie Jensen Show, how not to have a shit Christmas. Roll theme. Welcome to the Jonnie Jensen Show, where modern dads discover how to create the true riches, relationships and results they deserve. Get your High Value Man blueprint and join our community at highvaluemanproject.com. Let's go. Hello men, great to have you here. Welcome to the Jonnie Jensen Show. I am the creator and head coach at the High Value Man Project, and it is my absolute pleasure to have you here today. It is just a week away from Christmas. In fact, this time next week, it'll be over. If you're in the UK or any kind of country that does Boxing Day, I guess that's Australia, maybe Canada, I don't know. And less so America, but anyway, and definitely not some of the European countries. But it will be Boxing Day this time next week, which means the main day, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, will be over. Will you have had an absolutely brilliant time, or will it have been crap, full of arguments, left you with a hangover, an empty bank account, and X number of rows between you and your family? And by the way, if you're not a Christian or from a country that's celebrating Christmas right now, this episode applies. It applies to any occasion, anything that you end up looking forward to. I've seen people, families, have the kind of meltdowns that some people have at Christmas over holidays, over birthdays, really any kind of special occasion. And of course, if you're from a different culture or religion, then you will have your own festive periods across the year. What is it? Eid, and what do the Pakistani and Indian people call it? I mean, it's got a name. It was about 3 weeks ago. Lots of fireworks and everything. So it's the same thing applies, right? It's a big family occasion. It's expensive and it's filled with tension, and it really doesn't need to be. And that's what today's episode is going to fundamentally be about. If you've not been here before, then welcome. As I said, my name's Jonnie Jensen. We're on about season 5 of the podcast. We were previously Team Superdad. And we're here to help men create the life that they deserve, that they truly want, rather than the life they feel stuck in. That means leveling up for yourself, taking control for your health, managing your money, your health, wealth and happiness, so that you can create the life that you deserve instead of one you feel stuck in. And the reality for too many men is that we're living an existence that is below the level that we would honour our potential. It's below the level that the society that we live in has enabled us, that we could go out there and grab. Opportunity is all around us. Never in society, in the history of mankind, has opportunity been so available to all of us. And whilst that might seem strange, because there are wars, there are disease, there are illness, there's famine, there's hardship, there's addiction, there's lots of things going on. But when you take control as a man, when you level up for yourself in your own life, first and foremost, then the true riches, relationships and results that you deserve are available to you. You know, for our friends in America, the American dream, the pioneers, like when you set out on a clear mission, when you have the courage to take responsibility, to see what you need to do for yourself, to push through, to be the man that you're meant to be, then you can create the level of commitment that generates the kind of results that other people dream of. And there are so many examples of men that have achieved against all odds. And it should encourage you when you think about those people, whether it's history, whether it's movies, it doesn't really matter. The stories are the same. What one man can do, any man can do. So you got to get off your ass, take control, and really start to create the life that you deserve. If any of that sounds like, if it resonates, if you're feeling stuck in a situation, if you've got all the things you want, but you want to, have it all, have more, the relationship and the business, the healthy body and the connection with your kids, the money in the bank and the active social life, this is the life that we should all deserve, then I invite you to come and get involved inside the High Value Man Project. You can go to highvaluemanproject.com/group and get inside our complimentary community for motivated modern dads. And if you're ready to level up and get inside the High Value Man Project, then simply go to highvaluemanproject.com/apply. And it'll be my absolute pleasure to get you involved, to have a conversation with you, and to see how it can help you create the life that you deserve. Without further ado, let's get on with today's episode. How not to have a shit Christmas. It blows my mind that certain families will enter into this festive period with the expectation that there's going to be rows, that there's going to be upset, that it's going to bring about a lot of stress. And from my own personal experiences, it doesn't have to be that way. Now, I have had crap Christmases. I have had challenging Christmases, and I'll share some of those with you today. But more than anything, they've been been fun. They've been filled with love and laughter, and it's not always about the perfect circumstances. You can be in a shit situation and still have a great Christmas. We'll come on to one of my ones of those for sure in a moment. But you got to sort that out, right? On my keyboard, the enter button, which is right next to my mouse, starts the intro. How I must be able to change those hotkeys to change that. But let's see. Look, why do men struggle sometimes around this area in Christmas time? It could be the pressure to perform. Men often feel like they've got to be the provider of joy, like everything, the gifts, the happy family, the smooth logistics, literally everything that the Christmas requires is on your shoulders. And then there's the complete opposite of that. The man, the dad who sits back and expects his missus to take care of it all. The buy all the presents, the get all the food, the cook all the food. Although interestingly, across my circle of friends, it's generally it seems common that the man is the one that's cooking the Christmas dinner. But it's like, which end of that spectrum are you on? Or are you sharing the load? And that's an obvious area of tension. Family tensions, seeing people that you perhaps don't see very often, don't get along with, don't even like, or they're annoying. What's it going to take for you to be okay with however they're being? And disconnection. I've made a list for myself here, which I'm just referring to. Like, sometimes if the relationships that you cherish the most are a little bit broken, then you could be sat there observing all this love and laughter and present opening and your missus and the kids enjoying it all, and you're feeling a little bit disconnected, wondering, how did it get to this? And then, of course, there's the financial side of it, feeling a lot of concern about where the money's going to coming from, trying to buy everyone's happiness, feeling like that you can only have a good time if you spend a load of money. And I'll tell you another big one is this time of year can often bring with it a sense of, what haven't I achieved? What should have happened this year that hasn't happened? How much further ahead should we be than we actually are? Now, I run through all those, not like, here's a checklist of all the things, but you may, some of those may resonate with you, and you'll be like, yeah, that's where I'm at. That's the concern I've got. Or I didn't think anyone else had that. How did he know? I know, because we're all going through it. Like, Christmas can and should be a wonderful time, but when things aren't always working out, it can bring with it a lot of those pressures. Now, you may have other ones. Who knows? It could be someone's ill health. It could be a loss. It could be all sorts of things that are going on that are really come to challenge you at this time. My message to you is, as a high value man, it is totally within your power, within your realm of sphere of influence, to be able to create a Christmas that everybody feels was full of joy, full of laughter, where the load was shared. Has that been the role that you've taken in the past? You might need to look at what you need to be responsible for in regards to previous Christmases that have you feeling this level of apprehension or concern running into it. You may also know that your other half, or perhaps your kids, particularly if they're older and you can have this conversation with them, they may be feeling some of these concerns based on Christmases past. there was a particular of Christmas. It doesn't really matter who, but at the end of the Christmas day, a conversation was had, and there was actually tears of joy, saying, I've never had a Christmas that was like this. I've never had a Christmas that was so full of fun and laughter. I've never had a Christmas where there wasn't rows and tears and shouting. And that absolutely was a shock to me. It was like, wow, you kind of see it on the soap operas, and my God, if you're one of those families that watches soap operas full stop, let alone looks forward to the Christmas Day episode where everybody dies or gets flipping cancer, or like fucking how miserable could they make those things? Some domestic abuse situation when we're all supposed to be having a good time. That's just my own personal soapbox about soap operas. But it is real. There we go. It was an example to me of, some families, the experience of Christmas is miserable and shit. And I don't want that for you. If it's been like that in the past, this is where it ends today. I don't have a finite blueprint of how you can manage and master this, but there are some obvious areas as we run into what is the last week before Christmas that you could set yourself up for a great next week, next 10 days, and of course New Year's Eve on the end of it. Really round off this year in a positive way. Have a great Christmas and set yourself up for 2025. If we run it through the 3XC formula for living, which is the framework inside the High Value Man project, the structure around which we set ourselves up, whether it's the life in general or whether it's an individual specific project. You start with clarity. Like, really, what is the kind of Christmas that you want? What is something that you've wished it always would be like? What is the vision for you and your family? How would you like it to go? And give yourself the freedom to actually play with this, to actually have some joy and intention about, well, if it could look like anything, then it would look like this. Too many people haven't actually thought that. They just know what they don't like. And if we get what we focus on most of the time, then guess what? Your tension and apprehension is going to lead to awkwardness, which is probably going to lead to a prickly moment. Who knows what you might have forgotten or what you haven't, helped out with. And guess what? Then comes the row. So you might involve your kids. Particularly you might involve your partner. If there's common areas of frustration that you can pinpoint, then you might be able to have a conversation with her about how this ideal Christmas looks like. She might find it might knock her off her feet when you say to her, just thought I'd ask you, how would you like Christmas to be? What frustrates you about the Christmases we've had? What do you want to do? What don't you want to do? Just because it's always been a particular way doesn't mean that you have to stick to it. I remember one Christmas was one of the first years when I was a kid, actually after my mum had died, we went away for Christmas. And I thought, I was like horrified. I remember, I think I was about 11. I was like, we're going away at Christmas? Like, what the hell? And it was actually brilliant. No surprise. Who doesn't like being on holiday, let alone holiday at Christmas where there's Christmas trees and food and presents but it's all happening in the sun. If you come from somewhere that's not very sunny at Christmas, or it's happening on the ski slopes. But it was a concern to me, even as a kid, that if it wasn't the way it always was, then how could it be good? So be prepared when you're having that conversation for a little bit of give and take. And the classic one when we're coming around to this, in terms of in-laws and families and people that you feel like you have to see. Well, first of all, do you have to see them? Probably. But how are you going to be about it? If how you are is, he's an arsehole and he always does this or he always does that, well, guess what? He's not going to change. So the only thing you have control of is how you are about it. What could you do that would have it be different? I don't know. It might be a conversation in advance. It might be asking them to bring something that they never do. It might be not giving them so much drink. I don't know what it might be. But when you are, as a high value man, putting yourself in a position of what can I be responsible for? Where can I bring transformation? Where can I adjust things so that the result I want is more likely to happen? You're not a flipping leaf in the wind being blown around by other people's behavior and attitudes. It's time to level up. You can create anything that you want. Now, in terms of money, it's not possible really to suddenly magic money out of the air. This isn't always about people that haven't got money. People that do have money can find themselves overspending massively at Christmas because they think, oh, they should. It's bollocks, particularly if it stresses you out. I don't remember it as a great Christmas, but I don't remember it either as a bad Christmas. Turns out through conversation with my dad decades later, it was a Christmas where he was pretty much on his arse. If you've heard my Concord to Council House story, you'll understand a little bit of how that came to be and what that was like. But it was a Christmas where we didn't have much. My dad was able to get together some sort of 500 quid, and he took us to what would it have been, like 1990, something like that, right? So there wasn't, shopping malls in the UK hadn't been around, like the big ones hadn't been around for that long. The nearest one to us was Lakeside, and he took us up there. And we pretty much blew this 500 quid. We walked around all the shops. He bought us loads of clothes. We went for pizza and movies. And Christmas Day the next day was there was a turkey, of course, and we played games and we titted about and various people came over. Turns out, like I said, I found out 20 years later that he was absolutely on his arse. And yes, he did find some money to blow. But the thing that I remember most about it was me and my dad and my brother being out and having a laugh. The people that came round on that Christmas Day and all bought something, even though we were in this random house, you had to keep the oven door shut with a broom, propped, like wedged against the kitchen wall, and the broomstick held the door of the oven closed. Was just fun. So you don't have to presume that it's got to be epic. And if you've got money, then brilliant. Manage your finances. Keep a track of what you've spent. Decide on who's going to bring what round on Christmas Day. It doesn't have to all come from you. People take the piss if you let them. So don't let them. And I guess that falls into this next area, right? About simplifying and organising the day. Don't let things become a problem. Just us looking at us this Christmas, there was conversations about what was the food going to be, and we was going to get it from this way, or we're going to get it from that way, and it was kind of going round and round. And actually, the ultimate easy solution was, what if you do the starters, we'll do the main course, you do the pudding. We're doing Secret Santa for gifts, and of course, I'm buying my kids and my girlfriend, and I can't help it. I love buying presents, even if they're little presents. So I got a few things for a few people. But the point is, get it planned in ahead so people's expectations are managed, so that there's games to be played, so that there's enough booze and drink to go around. And if people are asked to bring certain things, then you'll end up with the exact amount you need and everyone's contributed. Get your logistics sorted. I've actually got... I won't be using it this year because I don't need it. But I've actually got a list that I made once for when I host of all the things that go into the Christmas dinner and the Christmas day, and the amount of time saved in my Google Drive, the amount of times that I've referenced that and used it in the past, and it makes me laugh. And I remember back to the Christmas that I actually wrote it. And I guess around this kind of organising things and being prepared is, don't feel like you've got to say yes to everything. Don't overcommit. It's a period of time where you should be able to relax and enjoy yourself. If you're sharing the load and you've got some time off over Christmas, then don't be flipping in the car doing 100 miles every single day just to go and see people that you don't even like that much. What are the people, be gracious. Have enough in you to be able to spend time with family and people that that it's right to spend time with. But equally, make time and plan in seeing your friends, having fun, making sure you've got something good to look forward to on New Year's Eve. This is how you manage your days. And I'm coming into the second C of the 3XC formula, is around courage. And in particular around courage, it's about how you show up, about who you're being on the day. Like, consider that you're the focal point of the family, whether you're a traditional family still, whether you're a single dad. I guess we will do a little bit in here about single dads. But you set the tone. You set the energy. So have the grace within you to keep grounded, to keep calm. If you can see that someone's struggling, that you've left someone, your missus, whatever, left them with too much to do, or you feel like you're doing too much and not getting any help, then ask for it. But don't do it with start to get frustrated and resentful, or start to get pissed and everything be chaotic. If that's what's coming out of you, it's going to start being reflected back on other people. If there's family tensions, then help resolve it. Don't ignore it and hope that it goes away. Come at it with empathy. Let people know, like, do you know what? I find every Christmas a bit bloody awkward because of this and this, and it doesn't really matter, but it's just, what about if we made it different? What could we do that would have it be a better way for everybody? And then ultimately, on the day, bring the joy. Bring a fresh perspective that has this Christmas. Include all the traditional things that you love, but have it be free of any of the doubt, frustration, or expectation of previous years. You literally are wiping the slate clean, a fresh start. And and I hope what I've shared about the clarity and taking responsibility and the courage inside of this, that you're creating a space for this to be a fresh start. And I want to say as well, another important part of this time is making quality time for the people that you love. In particular, you and your other half. Like, it's very easy to take each other for granted. And actually, a little bit of love and appreciation, some kind words in a Christmas card, a gift that's given with eye contact and a real intentional moment of, I chose this for you because you're awesome, because I appreciate you. Don't just lob them a present and think that they're going to get all that because you wrapped it up nice. Actually take the time. Maybe it's in the card, or maybe it's in a quiet moment together. When you step out of the norm and recommit and reconnect on a level that each other understands, I get you. I feel your appreciation. I feel your love. And that also is about creating a space for a wonderful Christmas day, a wonderful Christmas period. And if you're in a stage of life when it's kids and mayhem, what can you do to get a couple of hours to yourself? Could you swap with another family? Could grandparents have them? I don't know what it looks like, but work on making it happen. And I think as well, equally, is finding a bit of time for yourself. This end of year, this period, particularly the weird bit, like the biffins, the bit between your balls and your ass. It's literally the bit between Christmas Day and New Year's Day. It's just like that. What could you do? And I'll do another episode about this next week. What could you do to really make that time powerful for yourself? To have some quality time, to recharge, to get out in the fresh air, to go to the gym, to audit your lifestyle, your health, your wealth, your happiness, your relationship. Start to actually put some thoughts and ideas down on this year. These were my wins this year. This is what didn't go quite so well. This is what I learned about myself. Because when you take the moment to do that check, then you are, again, like maybe a bit of a theme here is wiping the slate clean. You're able to clear out the tension and stress and of expectation and concern about how it should have gone, and leave yourself a clear open space to make plans for 2025, to have an enjoyable new year and kickstart the new year strong. So there's many other things I'm sure that you can factor into your own Christmas day. Sadness around loss is probably another element of Christmas that we need to cover off here. there will be people this year who you've lost. You will be reminded on Christmas Day in particular about them not being there. If there's an empty seat at the table, that loss could consume the day. But the most important thing about that, before we come on to single dads, is if someone's died, whilst it's sad, they would not want you to have a shit day. The ultimate respect to them is that you have a great time, is that you imagine their spirit, their vibe, their energy is still there with you. And if they were there, would they want you to all be sat around sad and upset? And literally, I've been at some Christmases where there's tears more than laughs during the day. That person would not want that. The celebration that is Christmas, without this, not really, apologies to all Christians, the birth of Jesus Christ and everything like that, but coming together as a family, of celebrating the love and unity and connection, of seeing friends, of having a drink together, of sharing gifts. It doesn't make sense that you'd then be sad and upset about someone who you loved and isn't there. If anything, honour them, celebrate them, a bit like a wake if you need. Like, well, who remembers a moment at Christmas when Mum was here? And even toast them. It's a lovely thing to do, to toast loved ones who are not able to be present today. And then finally, single dads. Maybe this should be an episode in its own, and maybe it's a bit odd to leave it here till last. But if you're still tuned in and you're a single dad facing Christmas without your kids, then I want you to know, a bit like the point made before, that being upset and miserable about it is absolutely pointless. Very, very difficult if you're not going to see your kids and you're being prevented from being with them. Then I definitely understand how devastating that is. In fact, I will do a separate episode about this to cover it off in more detail, because to just say right now, don't be upset about it, is virtually impossible. It doesn't really take into consideration the reality of not seeing your kids and then not seeing them on Christmas Day. But in terms of how I managed, I was always very adamant, shall we say. I never wanted to do like Christmas Day handovers. Some people make it work and it's become their norm, but I think it's bollocks. If you've got them in the afternoon, you spend all morning waiting for them to come. And then if you've got them in the morning, then guess what? You spend all morning, like, oh, what's going to happen at lunchtime when they go? And then your kids, halfway through the day, halfway through probably opened all their presents, but halfway through playing with them or enjoying them and being with family, they got to jump in the car and be shipped off to somewhere else. Christmas Day can happen at any time. You can create your Christmas Day on whatever day you want it to happen. If it's a week later, if it's in the bloody summer because they're visiting from Australia, mate, you can create Christmas Day whatever day you want. Don't let the idea that it had to be this day and it had to be with these people, it had to look like this, don't let that drag you down. For the dad that can't see his kids and is unable to see them at all, then that is brutal. Use it as an opportunity to connect with friends, to be with family. Worst case is to be on your own. Like, what would it take to go to a local church or to find a men's group or some sort of community activity where you can make sure you're spending the day with others? Like I said, I think I'll do another episode in a couple of days to cover this off in more detail. But you be the difference. A slightly unrelated but relevant example I often give is that someone who's had their legs blown off. Mark Ormrod is the example that always springs to mind for me, because he, as a soldier, had injuries in Afghanistan that completely transformed his life. No amount of being upset about having no legs is going to make his legs grow back. But recreating his new life, setting himself up in his mind and physically to win, like physically, mentally, emotionally, to create a new life and be the winner that you see him out there in the world today, raising money, starting businesses, being an advocate for former servicemen. Like, That's someone facing up to the reality of change and creating something new. We all have that within us. As a high value man, that is the ultimate expression of overcoming adversity. It's taking it on the chin. It's not how hard you can hit, it's how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. And that's what I want this Christmas for you to be about. In summary, a fresh start, uncomfortable conversations had in advance, managing your money and your finances and setting up in place the logistics to have a great day, being the bigger man on the day, bringing the positive energy, helping awkward moments, tensions, being the man that works through them and takes other people past them. Making time for the people you love, making time for yourself, seeing friends and family, not overindulging, but using this as a time to recharge and refresh so that you really land amazingly in 2025. I hope this is going to be an incredible contribution to you and your Christmas. A slightly longer episode than normal. I've no idea how much I've rambled or how much power it's had. I love Christmas. I've had so many happy memories through wonderful and through challenging times. Not every Christmas has been perfect, but here I am today looking forward to this one. We spent with my girlfriend and her family. I'll be seeing my kids on Christmas Eve, and I'll be seeing them a few days later. We will be recreating Christmas Day and having a wonderful time before New Year's Eve kicks in, and we've actually got a couple of parties we're invited to. Whatever it is, and if you need some input, we'll be doing a live hangout for dads around the Christmas period. Then get involved in that. We'll be a support to everybody. And other than that, I encourage you to get yourself into the High Value Man project community. If you're not there yet, just go to highvaluemanproject.com/group and watch out for so much activity happening over the next 2 weeks and into the start of 2025 to get you into the project, to help you level up and be the man and dad you want to be. We've got we've got a 5-day challenge coming in February. We've got, if you're on the email list, we've got a special launch and invitation to get the Q1 2025 High Value Man project intake filled up. So if you're not on that list yet, then get yourself there. Probably the best way to do that is simply go to highvaluemanproject.com/group and drop your details in there, and then you will get the exclusive offers and limited invitations that are coming out to people on our contact list. Voice is getting croaky. I gotta go. It's been my absolute pleasure. Share this with other men in your life. Be sure to subscribe and leave us a review on iTunes or Spotify. And of course, if you're watching on YouTube, then don't forget to subscribe and hit that bell. It's my absolute pleasure. If I don't speak to you before Christmas, then make sure just make sure you have a bloody great time. Be the best version of yourself and love the people around you. Let's go. Thanks for tuning in to the Jonnie Jensen Show. Be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with fellow dads. Creating the life you deserve starts with you. Get your High Value Man blueprint and join our community of motivated modern dads at highvaluemanproject.com. Let's go.